I may not have been voted most likely to be a sequel in high school, but do you know who was? Wii Sports Resort. The original Wii Sports did so much for the world of waggling Wii remotes. But it did feel a bit lacking in content since it was just a tech demo after all. That's why when Nintendo announced a follow-up just a few years later, I was overjoyed. Well, I would have been if I'd been paying attention to gaming news at the time, but you get the idea. This game introduced 10 brand new sports to the series, along with 2 returning ones, and meshed them all together with a beautiful tropical resort theme. And combined with the all-new Wii Motion Plus included with every copy, you have a recipe for one of the greatest cereal box prizes of all time. And hey, I've got nothing better to do today. Why not rank all the sports on display for old time's sake? My criteria for this list is based on how creative each sport is, how well the motion controls work, and which ones I think are the most replayable. I'll also be grouping all of the subcategories of each sport together, since for the most part, they don't share very many differences. For example, something like golf and Frisbee Golf, they'll be ranked as one sport. Tomato, tomato. And with all that out of the way, let's kick back, relax, and remember to put on our wrist straps, okay? The Wii Remote sure is a jack of all trades, but if there's one thing it can't do, canoeing is definitely it. This is the only sport in the package where the motion controls don't really work as advertised. Turning feels especially awkward, and the Wii Remote can sometimes become unsynced with the game, leading to an overall messy experience. The main objective is trying to row as far as possible within a set time limit. It's okay for what it is, but I feel like the obstacles presented don't make things any more challenging, even on the highest difficulty. But hey, at least there's also multiplayer, which is basically the exact same thing, except now there's a point system. Ooh, how fancy. Canoeing is still in a perfectly playable state, but out of all the other sports in this game, this is the one I have the least amount of fondness for. If there's one thing that the Wii had a lot of, besides the excessive amount of shovelware, it would probably be ping-pong themed minigames. I mean, there was Wii Play, and Mario and Sonic at the Olympics games, and then this game for some reason. Table tennis works exactly how you'd expect it to. You can serve, swing, miss your shot, everything you've ever dreamed of. While I wouldn't say there's anything particularly bad about this sport, there's also no denying that it is just a little too repetitive. Matches feel way shorter than they have any right to be, and without any sort of unlockables, there's very little incentive to play for longer than a minute. I suppose the new return challenge mode where you see how long you can keep a rally going is kind of cool, but that's really all there is to say about it. Like I said before, even though there's nothing really terrible with table tennis, I just don't see myself coming back to this sport as often. Holy crap, my Mii has a weapon! Archery is the name of the game, and it's about as PG as a murder weapon can get. This is one of the few sports that utilizes the nunchuck, which you'll use to pull back your bow and aim down your shot. The controls, for the most part, feel reasonably precise, and the difficulty progression is extremely well paced. The only problem is that it does get boring fairly quickly. I found myself getting kind of tired of it after only a few rounds, but maybe that's just me. Also, has anyone else ever tried to hit all of the secret fruits scattered about each level, or was that just me? Can you believe that it's so easy? Archery can be a lot of fun when playing with friends and going for the high score. But after you've played it once, you've practically seen all that this sport has to offer. Alright, everyone raise your hand who remembered that power cruising exists. What? Oh, put your hand down, you dork.
Aww.
For whatever reason, I never played the sport when I was a kid, and I don't really know the reason why. But what I do know is that when I played it again for this video, I had a pretty decent time with it. You're once again required to use the nunchuck, and you'll pretend as though you're holding on to the handlebars of a jet ski. By twisting left or right, that's how you'll turn, and tilting to the front will even give you a speed boost. Granted, you filled up your meter. The goal is to pass through as many checkpoints as fast as possible, and it's a good time all around. Plus, the sport somehow gets even better in multiplayer. You really can't beat a deal like that. I still can't believe I never really tried power cruising up until now, because I am certainly a fan. Fun fact, did you know that the word Frisbee is a registered trademark? No, I'm serious. This small plastic disc that you throw is on the exact same level as Ruffles. Let me tell ya, this sport has always been one of my favorites. And the Wii Sports Resort rendition of it is truly no exception. You get 10 separate chances to fling your saucer towards the marked area. If the throw is good, your dog will catch it and you'll be scored accordingly. But if you fail... But that's only half the story, because you've also got Frisbee Golf. It's literally just golf. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I really don't have a whole lot to say about this mode, except that I was able to get a hole-in-one on one of the courses. That was pretty sweet. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because nothing could ever top how cute the little dogs are! Aww.
3-pointer.
Basketball, an American classic, and by far the most complicated sport made for this collection. I have to hand it to Nintendo. They did one hell of a job simplifying this beloved pastime without making too many sacrifices in the process. Rather than teams of 5, this version has you in groups of 3. And surprisingly, pretty much everything has been mapped to just a couple of buttons. This includes passing, shooting, stealing the ball, blocking, taking blows to the face, and more. You do of course still have to use motion controls when trying to score points, but thankfully they feel very responsive. The free point contest, the other mode that's here, is also quite exciting. You just have to make as many baskets as you can before time's up, and it does a good job complementing the main game. I give the developers a lot of credit, because it can't have been easy to make a sport like basketball work as well as it does. So, guess who's back? Golf, one of the 2 returning sports from the original Wii Sports. Not much has changed since the last time we saw this little guy, but there are a few differences that are worth bringing up. For one, there's 9 new holes to play on, and they're all terrific. They feel just like the classic ones, but also new and exhilarating at the same time. And speaking of the original holes, they're all here too. So if you prefer those ones more, well, here you go. There's also a few more golf clubs to choose from. The UI has been slightly tweaked, and there's even some new special courses that I just can't seem to unlock. But yeah, as you can see, not a lot has been altered between the two versions. However, with a high score of plus 37, it's safe to say that I could definitely use some more practice. What starts with a W and is always a good time? That's right, Wyoming! Oh, and I guess wakeboarding is also pretty alright. For this sport, you'll hold the Wii Remote on its side once again, and twist it left and right to turn. If you shake the controller right as you're going over the current, you'll be launched into the air and have a chance to nab some serious points. You have to have a good landing in order to do so though, which is a lot easier said than done. It can take quite a while to learn exactly how to position yourself. But once you figure it out, you'll be smooth sailing, literally. On the higher difficulties, more and more obstacles are placed throughout the water, and it really helps to liven things up. Although it is pretty hilarious when you run into things too. Regardless, wakeboarding fits the bill as one of the best sports that you can experience here. It's good stuff. Most of the sports in Wii Sports Resort are pretty faithful to the real thing. And then this happened. What the hell? Nintendo, this isn't how you ride a bike!
Don't worry, I can improvise.
As much fun as it is pretending to be Lance Armstrong, you have to admit that cycling isn't accurate in the slightest. So what you'll do is move the Wii Remote and Nunchuck up and down at different intervals. I guess it's supposed to simulate pedaling a bike, but it doesn't really have the same effect. A typical round has you racing against 30 other bikers, and it's a good challenge trying to overtake them. But you can't go too fast or else you'll run out of stamina and have to take a water break. Haven't these me's ever heard of endurance? Oh, and the multiplayer is the exact same, except now there's only 5 racers, so... Ridiculousness aside, cycling is the dictionary term for the word underrated. Seriously, I wish more people talked about this one. As someone who's been watching Star Wars movies almost their entire life, I have to say, this next sport feels just about made for me.
You were the chosen one!
Swordplay is what we have here, and it sure is the bee's knees. Basically, your Wii Remote becomes a lethal weapon, and you get to wave it around to your heart's content. The main mode is a 1v1 duel that has you fighting to see who can stay on the platform the longest. It's incredibly simple, but it always leads to a ton of goofy shenanigans. Speed Slice tests your ability to make specific motions swiftly, and this one is just alright. I mean, any mode with Matt in it is already perfect, but I could take it or leave it if I'm being honest. And finally, Showdown. A full-on campaign mode where you take on dozens of skilled sword fighters. It is so awesome! No matter which way you slice it, swordplay is some of the best variety compared to all of the other sports. Just don't forget to grab the high ground if you want to stand a chance. It's no secret that bowling is one of my favorite sports, and the Wii Sports Resort adaptation is the best we've ever seen it by far. The standard mode is by and large the exact same as it was before, but new to the lineup is the 100-pin game. It's essentially just classic mode, but now with 100 pins instead of only 10. And oh baby, there is nothing more satisfying than knocking over dozens of wooden cylinders with just a flick of the wrist. It's just so gratifying. Oh, and don't forget about the secret button that knocks down all of the pins for you. You do not want to know how long it took me to do this. And there's also spin control, which is just a vanilla game, but now with more barriers in the way. You know, sometimes I amaze even myself. As you can see, bowling hasn't really evolved too much over the years, but does it really need to? After all, why fix what isn't broken? You've probably already figured it out, but air sports is at the top of today's list. While all of the other sports are fun in their own right, none of them come even close to the level of enjoyment I get from this one. First up is skydiving, aka the reason for my fear of heights. You can twist and turn and link up with other skydivers and take a group photo. What's not to love? After that is the dogfight mode, and it allows you to reenact the Battle of Woohoo Island. Nah, your mission is actually to shoot down all of your opponent's balloons, and it makes for a really great time. But nothing comes even close to probably the best thing ever, Island Flyover. In this mode, there is no objective. Your only task is pure relaxation. All you do is fly around by tilting the Wii remote, and it is amazing. Getting to explore every nook and cranny, collecting all of the eye points, reading up on all of these random locations, it's all just so invigorating. And there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that air sports is the #1 sport from Wii Sports Resort. I seriously doubt that any other game will ever be able to capture the feeling that Wii Sports Resort has always invoked. Even at its lowest point, this game is still a blast, and is undoubtedly one of Nintendo's greatest accomplishments. And hey, with all of this motion controlling I've been doing lately, maybe I'll finally be good at one of these sports in real life. Let's check in and see how I'm doing. Where's the wakeboarding minigame?